Today we're going to be discussing Straw Dogs from 1971, starring Dustin Hoffman and Suzanne George. Sam Peckinpah's most controversial film is about a young American mathematician that moves with his English wife, Amy, to the village where she grew up. Their sense of safety unravels as the local man David is hired to repair their house prove more interested in leering Amy and intimidating David, beginning an agonizing intimidation into the iron laws of violent masculinity that govern Peckinpah's world. Working outside the United States for the first time, the filmmaker airlifts the ruthlessness of the western frontier into Cornwall and Straw Dogs, pushing his characters to the breaking points as the men brutalize Amy and David discovers how far he'll go to protect his home, culminating in a harrowing climax that lays out the cinematic's mastermind's eloquent and bloody vision of humanity. So Straw Dogs is a very controversial film, most notably, of course, by the rape scene that is unlike any rape scene you'll ever see. This review is all spoilers, by the way. I expect people to know about the film. I assume you probably know about the rape, but I will be getting into spoilers. Um, so to start off with, this film is loosely based on a book, The Siege of Trencher's Farm, which Peckinpah seemed to not really care for the book, but he managed to write a script that will perfectly reflect his directing style, and it worked out masterful. This film was nominated for an original dramatic score, Academy Award for Best Music, and was very controversial on its release, and still is to this day. Roger Ebert gave the film 2 out of 4 stars and described the film as a major disappointment in which Peckinpah's theories about violence seem to have regressed to a sort of 19th century mixture of Kipling and machismo. Gene Siskel was a little bit kinder, giving the film 3 out of 4 stars, and Pauline Kael identified the film famously as the first American film that is a fascist work of art. Uh, my thoughts, my rating was 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed Straw Dogs, and it was nothing that I could ever expect on first viewing. It's a very challenging film, and the rape scene is one of the more challenging rape scenes I've ever seen because as we get to the rape scene, she first invites the man that she knows in for a drink, kind of leading him on. And the whole time we're questioning Dustin Hoffman's character David as sort of more beta, and as the film progresses, you could see her kind of starting to lose respect for not challenging these local nimwits that are clearly antagonizing them. To start off with the hanging of the cat in the closet, which could be questioned. Did Dustin Hoffman's character David actually kill the cat himself? There's some questions there, but the rape scene is really one to boggle your mind because it starts off as her kind of inviting her. Earlier in the film, you could see her flaunting, maybe not even, as purposeful as you would think, but nevertheless, wearing no bras. Her nipples are constantly hard and showing. The man, the men working on her house stare at her one time. Oh, they're on the roof working, and she goes to take a bath, and she just undresses, and just there, bare chested, with the window right open, as David Dustin Hoffman character says, "Make sure you close the blinds." They're just staring at her, and she kind of holds for a second, which is very strange to say the least. But she seems to be flaunting herself just a little bit too much, almost where Peckinpah is pushing, you know, is she asking for it, which is crazy to think about. But when we go back to the rape scene, she initially, of course, denies it and slaps the man and tries to run away and scream. But she does know this man. She had a thing with him. It's not clear, but in the beginning, it seems as though they may have dated when she was very young. And because she is from this hometown, this first man. And uh, it hints that she knows this man. And then as the rape progresses, she decides to give in. And that's where the challenging thoughts come in is she starting to like this dominance because her husband shows her basically none. When she wants to, you know, be pleasured, he's too busy. Dustin Hoffman's character is too busy worrying about the alarm clock and worrying about his glasses and not really focusing on her. And um, so she gets dominated by this guy, and she kind of just gives in and starts to kiss him. So it gets very strange. Is this a rape? Actually, if she starts to give in, it just seems to like she's enjoying it. It's very thought provoking and confusing. And then when it takes a very aggressive turn, a man with a gun is pointed at the other man that she kind of just you know, let him do whatever he pleased. She even says afterwards, hold me," uh, which is very, strange and has you questioning. But then this guy kind of forces his buddy on to her as well in this machismo, backwards society, and this guy proceeds to actually rape her, and she does not. She does not give in at all. She's very, hurt by this and starts to cry, and that's where it gets very, very, um, just absolutely pure wrong and evil. Um, we move on to, um, they leave, and as this all is happening, Dustin Hoffman is simultaneously set up to go hunting with these guys. They set him up perfectly, and it's edited not strange, but wild as it's edited. It flashes back to Dustin Hoffman's character shooting these birds and hunting at exactly the same time. His wife is being raped by these two guys. So Amy never tells David about the rape, which is very strange. You can almost see her throughout the movie lose respect for him as a man, and it seems there's a point during the siege where they're all trying to break in, where she screams out for David's help as one of the men attack Amy, but she also screams out Charlie, who's the man that first raped her, that she just gave in and seemed to like it. She screams out his name also, which was very, I thought, a key point. Very strange that she would feel the need to call out both the names. Um, this is a fascinating look at masculinity and intellectual versus um, nimwit. That's probably not the right word, but this is a very backwards town. Not backwards, but maybe old school, as where people don't really leave their home. It's a big deal for people to go outside of the village. Um, Everybody knows everybody. Um, there's and also a storyline of this father that's a clear drunk and like the leader of this group of his sons and whoever these guys are around the same age of just knuckleheads. But the father's daughter is a 14-year-old girl that is very flirtatious with men, And this other man who is very childlike is basically a pedophile, but I don't know if you could really consider him a pedophile. I think there's just clearly something psychologically wrong with this man, and he can't help himself, it seems, which was very challenging as well, because at first you're thinking, why is Dustin Hoffman so protective of a pedophile? And not only a pedophile, a murderer at that in his house. He won't give them to these guys, and he hides them in the attic eventually, where the group of men can't get him. But it's just a very challenging question. But you grow to realize that this guy is probably just mentally challenged, and the murder of the girl was an accident. He was just trying to keep her quiet, and it seems that he's just very childlike and not ever progressed mentally. So, you got all these underlying questions that Peckinpah really just never gives a straight answer to. He constantly is making you think what's moral and what's wrong, and um, a lot of questions are being asked while watching the film. And simultaneously, it is very entertaining, even though it's dirty and gritty and a rough watch. At point, it's very entertaining, especially the siege of all these men breaking in windows, throwing in rats, throwing in bricks, and then there's an accidental shooting, and then while all this is happening, Dustin Hoffman is seeming to find himself as a man that this is his stance, and he's gonna protect this home. No violence will be committed against this house, and he starts to get these contraptions set up. The man trap was a big one at the end, where he just clamps this guy's head on this man trap that he has that looks like it's for bears, but apparently it's for men, poachers. Um, this is a very challenging film, to say the least. This is my first time viewing, and I'm all over the place with this discussion. Um, but I really enjoyed Straw Dogs. I was a bit surprised. I think it is fair to say this is a masterpiece. I gave it 4.5 out of 5. Um, Maybe on rewatch it will go up to 5 stars, but it felt right being 4.5 out of 5 stars. And I just wanted to say also that there is a bit of a question mark that maybe David Dustin Hoffman's character actually killed the cat. And I say that just the way he treated the cat was strange. He there was one scene where he's like throwing fruit at the cat, and he hits it, he nails it pretty good with the orange or grapefruit. And then there's also another scene earlier where he says to Amy, "If that cat's in my study, I'm gonna kill it." And then for some reason, Amy goes into the room and erases the plus and turns it into a minus sign, because he's a mathematician and working on stuff. And uh, I don't know, it just seemed weird that the way that he didn't want to confront the men, and then they had that awkward thing where she brings out the beers and they invite him in, and she brings in the beers and a bowl of milk, like hinting about what's up with the cat, and he still doesn't say anything. So I don't think he did, but there is a little bit of door left open to question: did he actually kill the cat? So in closing, I just want to say the performances were absolutely unreal. Dustin Hoffman was amazing, and Suzanne George definitely held her own as Amy. She did a really unbelievable job. There were some questions about her rape scene. There was a bit of controversy where she told Sam Peckinpah, the director, that she would not be doing a rape scene, and eventually they got around to doing it. So you got to give her a lot of credit for that, especially that scene, to be able to be so convincing of changing the mindset from despair and total grief and reluctancy to pleasure and questioning. Does she actually like this and want this? Um, I watched the Criterion Blu-ray, which is Criterion Spine 182, a very early Criterion, and I think this is just a amazing masterpiece of American cinema. I think Pauline Kael hit it on the head with the first American film that is a fascist work of art. I'm not sure if it's the first, but it is definitely a fascist work of art, and really dives deep into the look of masculinity and animalistic behavior of men and the ultra violent uh, looks at who we are in society as men and women. Straw Dogs is a masterpiece, and once again, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, 4.5 out of 5 stars, excuse me. And that's gonna do it. Thank you for watching the video. Please give me any comments on Straw Dogs if you have any. Thank you.